Ladies and gentlemen, have no fear, for the Filmworks Guru is once again here with another edition of the Filmworks podcast. I am your host, Ricky Nix, and today we are here to talk about another remake of one of my favorite, well, not one of, my absolute all-time number one favorite movie of all time, Leon the Professional. Now, when I say that it's my favorite movie of all time, that is not the same as saying it's a movie that I watch all the time. It's been about 2 years since I last saw the film in question, and it was here at the Enzion Theater here in Maitland, Florida, or the Orlando, Florida area. So to jump right into the plot, for those who are unfamiliar with the movie, Leon the Professional tells the story of an Italian New York hitman who takes an orphan girl under his wing after her family is slain by corrupt DEA agents. The 1994 movie is directed by Luc Besson and stars Natalie Portman in her first feature lead role. It also features actor Jean Reno as the titular Leon the Professional, Gary Oldman as the villain Norman Stansfield, and rounding out the cast is veteran actor Danny Aiello, who plays Tony, who serves as Leon's handler. So once again, the premise of this show is to serve as an outlet for the exploration of my love-hate relationship with the idea of sequels, prequels, reboots, and remakes. While I have zero desire to see this film remade anytime soon, I can't help but entertain the notion, because I think what I have put together for you today is a pretty solid cast and crew that would make up for what I believe is to be a much anticipated reimagining. So kicking things off with the cast, as I mentioned earlier, the role of Matilda, the orphan girl, is originally played by Natalie Portman in her first starring role. For the sake of a remake, I decided to go with actress Millie Bobby Brown, who you may know best as Eleven from the show Stranger Things. While she does not have a whole lot of acting credits under her belt thus far, I would like to think that her work in Stranger Things alone is enough to establish her as a legitimate, strong acting contender, and certainly an actress who can pull off a role such as this one. And it doesn't hurt that she also happens to look a little bit like Natalie Portman as well. So I think this would be something that she could definitely pull off. Also, here's a little fun fact side note for you. Millie Bobby Brown auditioned for the role of X-23 in Logan. So moving on now to the role of Leon, aka the Professional. Like as I mentioned before, he was previously played in the original film by actor Jean Reno. However, for this remake, I decided to go with Tom Hardy to fill the role of Leon. Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors going right now, and he's an actor known for his deep, raspy voice, and has a knack for playing quirky, offbeat characters, as evidenced in his films such as Legend or Bronson, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, but more on that later. So we've covered Matilda, we've covered Leon, now to Norman Stansfield, the DEA villain. For him, I was going to go with Edward Norton, for he is an actor with plenty of range, and he's an intelligent actor who can hold his own against other strong actors in movies. He's well respected, and I think he would do an excellent job of playing the new Norman Stansfield. For an honorable mention, little side note, I wanted to go with Sam Rockwell as well as an alternate. Both Sam Rockwell and Edward Norton, I believe, have tendencies to play sleazy or immoral characters, and thus I think either guy would make a good fit, but ultimately I'd go with Edward Norton. Last but not least, to round out this cast of mine, originally in the film, the character of Tony was played by Danny Aiello, as I mentioned before. Before this update, there were a lot of actors that came to mind, John Turturro and a few others, but ultimately I have to go with John Goodman. I think he's a well-respected and well-rounded veteran actor. and who, he's still going strong, still doing great work, still doing great movies, and I think he's a good fit. As I mentioned, I'm sure there are other actors that maybe you yourself could think of that would come to mind that would fit this role, especially if you've seen the movie and you know it. But ultimately, I'd have to go with John Goodman. I think he's a good fit for this. So now that we've got our cast put together, let's move on to directing. For this particular movie, I decided to go with one of my favorite directors working today. He's done movies such as Drive, Bronson, and Valhalla Rising, and his name is Nicholas Winding Refn. He's a Danish film director. Like I said, he's one of my favorite directors working today, and he's a director known for using color brilliantly and known for his violent films that feature characters looking into mirrors a lot. That's like a director's trope of his. I think he is an underrated and underappreciated director. Like I said, he's done a lot of great stuff. I think arguably his best film thus far is Drive. He had another follow-up film that also featured Ryan Gosling called Only God Forgives. It was polarizing to say the least, but for Nicholas Winding Refn, he's certainly a guy that you could make the argument is style over substance. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if you put a movie like this in his hands with this cast, he's already worked with Tom Hardy, so these guys know each other. I think it would be something really special. Normally in my shows, I like to talk about another aspect of the crew that you can put together for a movie, whether it's a cinematographer or a composer. For this film in particular, I wanted to go with Larry Smith to go ahead and be the cinematographer because he's worked with Nicholas Winding Refn on Only God Forgives. And if you haven't seen Only God Forgives, I suggest you check it out. While it might not be your favorite movie, there's a lot that can be said for its style and its color tones, and it's just a marvelously shot film that's wonderful to look at. He's worked on Only God Forgives and Bronson with Nicholas Winding Refn, and he's also worked with Stanley Kubrick. And last but not least, as far as composers go, I don't want to say you can put anybody in this role, but definitely give a look at Cliff Martinez. He's another frequent collaborator of Nicholas Winding Refn. He did Only God Forgives and Drive, and a bunch of other movies. He's a composer with a lot of film credits under his name. And if you know his work, if you know the work of everybody involved and everybody that I've put together for this show, I think you'll agree it's something special. So that's my cast and crew for Leon the Professional. Millie Bobby Brown as Matilda, Tom Hardy as Leon, Edward Norton as Stansfield, and John Goodman as Tony. Directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, composer Cliff Martinez. What do you guys think? Do you know these characters? Do you know these actors? Do you know the movie? Do you know the director? And if so, what do you think? How does that sound to you? Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And this has been another episode of the Filmworks Podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Nix. See you next time.